RNG are currently 1-0 up at their home stadium in Beijing, where they're taking on TOP. Although they're not running Uzi just yet, looking like they're solidifying their roster with Abel for now until he recovers, and looking strong in that first match.
Yeah, I think RNG started with their full strength, of course, missing Uzi above all else, it's an injury. So I think this iteration of RNG's current available rosters is their full strength roster. Going back to ADs, I know the speculation was preparing for Uzi to come back, and I think that's entirely valid, but I also think that with the lack of available flexibility, having the two tanks in those roles were a little bit limiting, whilst it was also very hard to deal with. So having an AD carry there, I think, does wonders for the side of RNG. And through that first game, Abel had a very simple job. I think this, above all else, is a major strength for RNG. If they're doing well, they're passing with flying colors without Uzi. I am excited to see him when he comes back in this team, because they are so good as a four-man right now.
Yes, they do look good as a four-man. I'm excited to see what happens with Abel, because we've already seen one of RNG subs in Y4 move on to a new team of LGD. He's found a home there. He's performing well in LGD at the moment. So who knows? Abel could stick around and be one of the substitutes in AD carry, try and fill the shoes of Uzi whenever he takes a break or is substituted out. Potentially try and work his way up to become good enough to be one of these substituting members that we see between the rotating door of Kasa and MLXG. Let me as well as Tai.
Certainly possible. We'll have to see as the future pans out for Abel. Of course, he's a very young player. I believe he just turned 18, so born in the year 2000. Let that one sink in for you as well. So definitely still a young player with a lot of potential. Can still reach very high with the support of RNG and with someone like Uzi to watch play as he gets to sit behind him.
All these younglings and their mechanics.
That was one of the worst old man voices I've ever heard.
Who was that guy?
Oh no.
TFP are going to try and cause an upset today. You were talking about it earlier. The points are incredibly important for these two teams. TOP are currently fighting a three-way tie for 4th place in their own conference. RNG have been slipping since Rift Rivals. Since they took Uzi out of the roster, experimenting with different strategies, different lineups has cost them. They've dropped 2 games back-to-back, including a match to FPX, and now could potentially slip out of the top 2, even the top 3.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, I think Xiaohu finding form has been the real saving grace here for RNG, because he hasn't just found form, he is accelerating the game in his own skill levels to unprecedented levels, what we have seen of him in that last set in particular. The rise was immaculate, commanding bans even, coming into the first game today. Of RNG, I still think they are very strong. I think a lot of it rests on their mid laner, and their top laner in Letmu is also playing out of his mind. Now, for TOP, they lost that first game. That's the place that we really have to look at first. I think that some things have to change in their drafting in particular. I do think that RNG bested them through that Game 1 draft. Now, what we suggested and what I think should change is that they should actually simplify their draft. When you're against a better team in the team fighting sense, you should pick a team fighting team if you want to match them in that regard. You should pick something that is easier to execute. And I think as an example, Karthus is easy to execute because you press R and the damage is going to hit all 5 people. But when you put a Karthus with a Talon and a Fiddlesticks, and their positioning has to be the best thing you've ever seen to win a team fight against a better draft than yours, I think you just draft a little bit better. That Fiddlesticks is the one that sticks out to me. It could be any other support champion. There was 2 supports banned, and that was in the second banned phase. And I think that's where I would look at to change first and foremost.
Well, we'll see what TOP decide to change against RNG. For RNG, you mentioned it was a very good draft coming out from them, and they executed on that draft fairly well. Letme was put behind in the top lane, but quickly able to swing it back in his favor.
Yeah, and the man on your screen also executed brilliantly on the Rakan.
Ming, beautiful support.
He was playing.
Beautiful man as well.
He was playing very well. Lots of fan support in there with the signs as well. So Ming, I think Rakan may want to be taken from him, and it's an opportunity for Cat. I think he should be playing that one.
Still waiting to get into that second match as something fell over next to me. Big loud noises up here in the studio. I think Clement just threw something. Oh no. He's dropped something over there, Rusty. Afraid to say what it was. Not good.
A lappy toppy.
Oh.
Was it?
Even worse? But
oh no.
Oh no.
Can't be worse than that.
Clement's dropped something over on the desk as we get a very blurry image of TOP. That was not going into focus. Seems like the second time now that camera unfortunately has had problems with the team logos. See, tons of fans have packed out the arena in Beijing, however, to support RNG, and a few TOP fans have made their way to the arena as well to lend their support for TOP Sports. a big sporting organization in China.
Yeah, there was 1 heart.
And then there were
hearts.
many hearts.
He's got a lot of love to give here, all right? The coach of RNG has heart for everyone. We are...
Oh, there's so many champion selects, Rusty!
We are so in champion select. We are in championception select.
We've got champion select on champion select on champion select, but let's go through the... Oh, we can't even go through the bands!
All kinds of champion selects. Now, we saw Talia.
I saw Talia.
I think that one was locked in. Now, there's no reason for the players to stop their draft phase unless the broadcast says that we need to solve this issue if it really is unsolvable. So they're most likely still picking their champions. We just won't really get the opportunity to see what they are.
I'm upset.
Just yet.
They've got the epic music going, but I don't see any picks. Got all this energy and I can't shout about things. There we go. Back
Right,
into
we're good
it.
to go.
Well, they continued through the first few picks, so we saw Swain, Talon, as well as Aatrox banned out by RNG, Trundle, Rakan, as well as Camille being banned out by TOP. With a first pick of Talia for TOP, Gragas locked in for RNG, Casa being an idiot, swapping around between a few champions, getting all our hopes up, but it's not going to be the case. Shen's locked in first.
It's a strong word. It's just having a bit of fun. Gragas is the one that I do want to talk about, though, because that can flex between a couple of places. So Casa may be the one picking that one up. Let me may be the one going towards that. And Ming, we have seen some supports play that Gragas, so that's what I'm looking at potentially available for them. And RNG, through their first 2 picks, have got some flexibility amongst their draft. But I would expect that it's Let Me and Ming who pick up the Gragas and Shen, respectively.
Potentially, but already 2 very tanky champions locked in for RNG. TOP are not going to go towards the full damage composition they had for game 1. As after the Talia pick, they're going to be ones to take away Dr. Mundo. Alistar will follow shortly after.
With that Alistar locked in, the support is an earlier rotation here from Cat, and it's not going to be a fiddlestick, so a much more linear style of champion, a big tank for the team as well. And TOP have seen their game 1 draft, and they've said, all right, we didn't have enough tanks. Let's make sure every possible pick is going to be a tank and that we just have the necessary damage to win this game. With the XX on that Talia, will be a big part of that one. I also think that with the Talon gone, I'm honestly a little bit perplexed as to what Korn is going to pick for himself. And if it's going to be, say, a Yasuo or an Aurelia, as he's running out of AD options.
Well, no Gragas to combo with the Yasuo in the mid lane, as RNG have taken that away nice and early. But we'll see what they do pick up. Alistar is there to help them out if Korn goes towards that assassin pick. RNG have the chance to try and take away some of the mid lane champions from TOP now for the second ban phase. They locked in Ezreal as their AD carry of choice for Abel.
Oh, and there goes the Yasuo. Now, if I was TOP, I'd still be getting rid of the Ryze and the Zoe, unless Korn is looking to play the Zoe himself. But you cannot give Xiaohu those champions. Then again, he plays Lissandra. He plays every champion. He's got the Vladimir as well. You cannot exclusively ban Xiaohu out, but I do think the 2 that I mentioned first are the bigger priority champions. We saw his Ryze go berserk, and we know that his Zoe is commanding in how strong it is running around on the Rift.
Fruskering called it his Band-Aid champions of the Zoe as well as Vladimir, but his Ryze is something else. It's just something of comfort for Xiaohu at the moment. But Zoe's already taken away by TOP. Morgana is going to be banned out by RNG here, targeting Cat's supports pool.
No Aurelia to be banned in this game, so there's always a chance that that's where Korn goes towards. He's also a Fizz aficionado, so there's, you know, don't rule out the options of other assassins when it's someone like Korn. It's just that, you know, he's got mages, he's just much more successful on assassins.
There is that chance he plays Talia. That could always go into the mid lane for TOP. On was the final ban that came out against RNG. So not targeting the Ryze in the mid lane, and they give final pick to Xiaohu as well, because Gnar is locked in to go up against Dr. Mundo.
Early rotation of the Gnar here, or not necessarily early, but before their opponent's pick, so they had the opportunity of counter-picking for top lane RNG. They choose mid, they choose Xiaohu. Now that does mean that Lyes can play his Mundo into it, because it's already revealed. It's tragic. I would love to see her carrying the top lane for Lyes, playing that one.
Well, we are going to see Talia in a different position because it is going to be Kindred in the jungle for access.
Now, it's not Road playing on Summoner's Rift, so it's most likely not going to be a Talion support role, and that's very much indicated by the Alistar. I just wanted to shout out to Road for being that guy.
Bot Talia could still be a possibility. Mid Talia is a possibility for Korn. Now it's almost definitely a bottom lane Taliyah if they lock in Irelia as their pick of choice.
It's a hard thing to play bottom lane Taliyah with the Alistar. The kill threat's always capable with the combo that they've got, but they're into an Ezreal and a Shen most likely. So in terms of that kill threat, it's not the easiest thing to achieve.
But smart move from RNG to put Xiaohu on the final pick because it's not going to be Taliyah. Neither was it going to be the LeBlanc. Sorry, not the LeBlanc. It's not going to be Taliyah going to the jungle or the mid lane. So
they have to reveal their many flexes.
With their flexes revealed, they pick up Ryze, Xiaohu's champion of choice in the mid lane.
Getting Ryze for Xiao, who's always going to be a pleasure to watch here on Summoner's Rift. Now, naturally, last time we saw him, he hard carried. But even more naturally is you kind of got to ban Ornn away from Let Me. It's a real shame to say, but RNG are just so strong as individuals that if you do not ban the Ornn and Let Me picks it, you're probably losing the game anyway. And if you don't ban the Zoe, Xiaohu's probably picking it and winning the game anyways. And when you consider all of those things, it still leaves open the options of the Ryze. Worst case scenario again, Xiaohu's got the further flexes of the Lissandra. That guy has got an ocean worth of champions with a plethora of those available. And Ryze is the one that he chooses in this game. The mid-game scaling, late-game strengths that it provides alongside an Ezreal. The carries of RNG are very big in the mid-game.
They are. It's not just the carries, the players playing them. We've already seen what he can do with Ryze. Now he gets another chance to do that against TOP. LeBlanc being played into him. Sakor's going to try and see if he can get the assassinations down in the mid lane for TOP. They've still got an abundance of damage though, Rusty. Yes, it's not the 5-threat comp that we saw from game 1. Dr. Mundo as well as Alistar will be the 2 tanks for TOP in this match, but Kindred, Taliyah as well as a LeBlanc, very difficult to deal with.
This isn't far off the JD Gaming composition that we saw in that last set as well when you really think about it. Mundo, Alistar as the 2 big beefy tanks that can sit in the front line. The Kindred to keep the back line alive at the same time means that, you know, for the composition of TOP, it's all about that forward momentum. If they can push forwards, use their tanks to stay in front, they'll always stay alive because they've got the Kindred supporting them. LeBlanc's able to kite nicely around flanks and get some assassinations off, and we even saw that from JD Gaming in that last set as well. The one major thing here that you're looking at is the Taliyah and how it fits into a composition, because this is the kind of comp where I feel like that Taliyah could actually be something else, and it was almost like a flex forced into the bottom lane role.
But it's not a stranger to the bottom lane position. Yeah, there you go. Got in focus, Rusty. Can TOP do it? Focus!
Hey, no, of course it's going to focus. They're giving it like 7 seconds.
Enough time to get into focus for match number 2. A lot of questions towards the flexes that TOP are running in game 2. But it's not that unorthodox to see these picks. Let's see if they can use it effectively against RNG as we head on to the Rift for match number 2. Still plenty of RNG fans there cheering on their team, but there might be a very quick level 1 skirmish. So lock down XX with us there. Body pop comes through as well. Ignites are ticking at the Clown Fiesta of a level 1, but the first blood's going to go to RNG. Ignite ticking onto Casa. He's perfectly fine. Blast code knocks Cat back over the wall. Flashing the fat part, locks him down. Double kill for Let Me. Boomerang's thrown left, right, and center. And RNG start the game strong.
They're able to start very nicely. It's still Chocho chasing forwards, looking towards the blue buff at level 1. Has no heal available, so he's going to have to back away. And Casa, in a dangerous battle with that blue buff, does come out on top. RNG with a 2-0 lead on Let Me. Let me tell you about things you don't want to see happen on Summoner's Rift for 500. There's Fed Let Me.
Or a disconnect. I don't want to see a disconnect on Summoner's Rift, Rusty.
A bit of a disconnect from TOP at level 1 there.
It was. They tried to go for the invade. Throw out for a bit of damage, but RNG do collapse nicely. Xiaohu ranking up his snare nice and early. XX finally picks up his first camp, but at this time, Castle's already been able to fly through his jungle. Wolves taken down, Blue taken down, now on Raptors before going towards the rest of the top side of his map.
And they managed to get Let Me to top lane without using teleport. He hasn't shopped, he hasn't spent all of his gold, so currently TOP are okay, and they'll feel a little bit worse for way through the jungle role, like you point out, but ultimately, They've still got opportunities to make plays. That was some sick mark timing as well. XX gets the correct side of the map to secure that one. But so far, opportunities present themselves for TOP after a bit of a disaster early.
Well, let's see what TOP can actually punish here, because they only burnt their summoner spells on Cat. He has Hex Flash available, but no Ignite in that bottom lane. Cholcho picked up his heal, but tons of summoners burnt on RNG side of the map.
Yeah, summoners burnt, but they were to get kills. Now, what's also super interesting here that could pan out to be a good thing for TOP is that they've gone corrupting potions in a couple of lanes. And when you actually put that into perspective, at level 1, if you start with a Doran's Ring, let's say, and a fight happens and you have to use potions, tragic for your laning phase. Really gold inefficient when you have to go back earlier, get more potions earlier. With a corrupting pot available, your recall, you've always got those potions, they've always been available. It's just that you have to reset earlier into the lane. And when you actually put that into consideration, the LeBlanc and the Talia able to go back with corrupting pots earlier, they might actually be perfectly fine through their laning phases, regardless of the start and regardless of summoner spells, which, like you pointed out, may favor TOP.
Checking in with the items instead of RNG. Xiaohu gone to Corrupting Potion himself after that level 1. Has a Dark Seal with Biscuits running as one of his keystone runes. So we had Abel running Biscuits as well, so they're going to be able to sustain just fine. But a good combo in this bottom lane. Cholcho flexing on Abel right there.
All 5 of the Pebbles connecting as well. Having a very good time as the Talia right there in a 1v1 sense. If Ming is ever missing, then you're feeling quite confident about yourself in that particular matchup, as long as the Flick is able to find the mark. And it does. Abel is someone that reminds me a little bit of Jackie Love regarding his positioning on Summoner's Rift. One of them, of course, being a Draven main. Makes a lot of sense.
What do you think are the differences? Because we talk about Uzi being best player in the world at the moment. Abel's been behind him. He's a great AD carry in his own right. But what is the difference between him and Uzi?
Between Abel and Uzi?
Yeah. What are the big? It's a big difference. So what is it?
Okay, Uzi's been playing since 2013. Uzi has experience. He's confident and also calm. He's able to shot call for the team. He's able to do a lot of things on League of Legends. He has a pretty widespread champion pool as well regarding the AD carries. Where Abel, I'm not even trying to answer that question, Fish. Uzi does everything. He's the best bloody AD carry in the world, man. What does Abel not have? Well, he's not the best AD carry in the world, man. Like,
that's a cop-out.
Yeah, I just named 6 things prior to the cop-out answer, ain't it?
It's true. Uzi does bring that bit of shot calling that we used to hear from RNG, which seems to be a lot of their disconnect at the moment.
Now, Abel is a very young player, and he's not meant to be one of those prolific shot callers. Ming's meant to carry most of that, so... Korn in mid.
Actually, lock it down, Korn! What the heck happened there? Cat shows up to try and get a gank for himself, but now he's taking a ton of damage, looking for the lockdown. Xiao, who doesn't get the cooldown in time. Korn distorts forward, and in that split second, killed by RNG.
Yeah, good night, sweet Korn Colonel. Kragus was just around the corner, so really, he was being set up to fail this. Oh my god, now he has to...
What are you doing?
Even the crowd laughed at that one. That was very sitcomish. You cannot teleport there. Even if there was just Xiaohu, that was literally the most solo queue teleport. And you know why? Because when I'm playing solo queue and I've been forced to recall, I'm going to teleport to a minion and say, you know what, screw that other guy. He can't have that single minion. He's going to fight me for it.
It would have been the most solo queue teleport if he committed to it. But there's a replay again. So fast, you couldn't even see Korn.
Yeah, the Rise W, of course, being able to lock him down. I think it's 0.25 of a second that you have as a window to lock down the LeBlanc before she can go back to her original place. So they find her, they kill her before there's even an opportunity to do so.
Just crowd controlled to death after that. Good lockdown coming out from Xiaohu. Great follow-up from RNG, capitalizing on the assassin in the mid lane. With that, Xiaohu's gone back to base, picked up Merc Threads for himself. Not the first time we've seen Xiaohu delay his tier rush to go for Boots 2 first.
It's always curious to note that he can go towards things like that. It means that he's not going to be stacking up his tier very fast. But in saying that, one of the, a while ago actually, changes to Archangel Staff is that you'll stack up your tier very quickly. It's around 8 minutes to full completion from start if you just buy the full item, let's say. And it's always an opportunity to be able to go towards, say, a lost chapter before you go tier, or in Xiaohu's case, looks like he's going to go for Mercury Treads.
Get rid of some of the crowd control that LeBlanc has in the mid lane, also easy access to magic resistance.
Always really hurts though when you get the 7-minute second blue buff and you can't start stacking your tier around then. It also means that you can't sit there and spam your spells out, and does mean that TOP could have perhaps looked towards the blue to take that from him. And similar to a Nivea, just ruin the early laning phase until they get that mana actually stacked up. But RNG, they've been winning the map so far, so it's not going to impede them by any means.
He also not running teleport in this matchup. He's gone for Ignite for the trading power against Korn. Korn has teleport, but we saw what happened to his teleport last time around.
And you have to really respect that from Xiaohu in particular. Most people will go towards, say, a cleanse or a teleport to survive through the trades.
Heal, maybe?
Oh god, let me.
Oh, no,
Good
let me.
night.
Gonna be jumped on here by Dr. Mundo. Did go back to base. Picked up the executioner's calling to deny the health regeneration that Lies gets out of his ultimate, but it doesn't seem to matter. Berserker Greaves was picked up very early for Nara as well for that mobility and increased attack speed. Not the most impactful 2-0 that I expected out of Let Me. I expected a lot more having that lead going into the top lane against Lies.
I mean, that is one hell of an item build right now for that Nar. So he's not going to have an impact immediately, but he'll start to scale up and do a lot of damage. Berserker Greaves, really. That's a thing of beauty against a Mundo, I'll say that much, but it's also a thing of a lot of fragility that will immediately get you killed if you're stuck and caught. Tuck it out in that mini Nar form, and that was where Lies pounced upon him.
It's the Caitlyn effect, right? You used to rush Berserker Greaves on Caitlyn, you still can. If you use it effectively, you stay out of range of the opposition, you poke effectively, and you clear very fast.
I mean, it's one of those conscious decisions where it's not just the Caitlyn effect, but it definitely was one of those things where you can use it as Caitlyn, but even against someone like an Ezreal even, or against someone like a Caitlyn, you can use it to just have that move speed bonus, to have that range advantage, to constantly kite away from your opponents.
Which is good against Dr. Mundo,
exactly.
But if Lies gets to jump like he did earlier, Snow running away from the stack of briefcases is going to constantly throw you, but the hop got him back to safety before. Korn's going to be able to teleport back into the mid lane after being pushed out by Xiaohu. That's come back up online. No tier yet for Rise. 10 minutes into the match, you have to stack that one up, so looking at 20 minutes for it to be complete.
He should be able to pick that one up on this next recall. He's going back to base, and that teleport advantage does give an extra wave in favor of Korn. However, the Ignite gave more than just the wave in favor of Xiaohu, having that extra kill threat with the early start as well.
Korn still struggling for items at the moment.
Smack him. That's, of course, what a mini Nar can do to you. It's all a big trade here. If you're a Mega, Mundo feels a little bit more confident, especially when you're pushing constantly in mini to get him under his turret. But when you are in mini, when you've got the minion wave there, you can sit there and threaten the passive procs and get that move speed. And with Berserker Greaves and the move speed bonus that you've got, I mean, really, there's no chance of a Mundo to chase you down. So that is still a nice little choice there from Let Me, and that's why we compliment the build earlier, whilst it does seem a little bit comedic to go with that and Executioner's calling.
It's a difficult position all across the map for TOP at the moment.
That was outplayed, by the way, as a support. Hard outplayed.
There's a gank going into mid lane though. Korn's been locked down. Good damage coming out from Kasa, but not going to commit. XX is running through the red side of his own jungle. Smite going down to Kasa. One more auto attack would proc the E. Not going to get her in range.
They're committing to the kill. Whoa.
Korn's going to jump in. So does Cat. Both of them burning their flash. No, just one flash being burnt by Cat. Distortion coming out from Korn. Forces Kasa away, but that's all they get from it.
Kasa losing the flash is very big though for the flash body slam, where an Alistar still has got some utility there, but both of them really hurting as a result of it. Nice little trades in mid lane across the board, trying to keep their opponents away from influencing the rest of the map, but they just totally saw that sword fly.
Special delivery, it's going to be beef and lamb today. So they try to lock down Cat, throws out the ultimate very early to stay alive. Ignite is on towards Kasa, uses the stopwatch to stay alive. Teleport's coming through, triple flick from Chocho! Rai's going to try and teleport them out of there, gets them back to safety as Cat will fall on the back half. Abel gets that first kill. Ming going to Shadow Dash all over the wall to get back to safety as much as Chocho comes out clutch. Dropship coming out from Xiaohu gets the rest of RNG to safety.
Yeah, that was the thing that really, it wasn't a nail in the coffin, but it pushes RNG away. They all take the Rise ultimate. They're all able to get back out to safety regardless in the end. And there was no real follow-up for the rest of the team. But Cholchol so far having a very good showing on this Talia, proving that his mechanics on the mage is still well and truly on point from day one we saw him. Mid lane's really the big place of influence. Xiaohu is just reading this man like a book. He is completely downloaded.
He threw 2 Qs during that entire spell rotation, both aiming at where Korn would distort back to, and managed to proc one of them. He was to fight again. caught out Cat.
But Cat has his ultimate, and I could swear he saw the sword traveling. TOP were very fast on the rotate as well, but they were very slow on the teleport, coming in second. And look at the positioning from that Mundo on the TP. So far from the rest of his team. Chow hits the flick, but again, Mundo comes in, has no utility, has no relevance, and Cat was just being chased constantly. Bit of a loss there from TOP. I think that teleport could have just been a bit better. Things may have been better overall.
Good move from Caster as well. Knew that he was under fire and threatened. Threw out the ultimate before using his stopwatch to disengage, save his team some time. Another stack being picked up by XX there. So I believe he has 3 stacks on Kindred now.
It's hard to read. Does look like 3, however. He just crept in there before all of RNG arrived. Now, mid lane has been a big place of contention here. TOP, they're fully aware that it's not going well, but can they do anything to stop it? When your wave clear is distortion, you're against a Ryze Gragas, you die. If you distort in to clear the wave if they're both present. It means that everyone from TOP has to come here. It's a Hex Flash from Alistar, so they can.
Korn trying to go all in against Xiaohu, but Shadow Dash comes in from Ming, and Caster gets the first kill. XX now in trouble, forced to hop away as Cat goes in for a combo, but Xiaohu flashes out of it. Meanwhile, Chocho wants to join the fight as well, builds the wall, rise it to mid lane, but Abel is here first. Just simply a disengage from TOP again. RNG get a single pick, but that's all they get.
But again, they still get a kill, and the pressure in mid lane can continue. Abel and Ming have moved towards the middle lane, which means that Chocho and Cat have to sit here and clear to defend themselves. And Lamb's Respite was available for XX, so it really makes me wonder there if it was a trust fall from Korn that was not caught at all.
That mid lane out of turret was very close to being taken down by RNG. In fact, top lane and mid lane have been under fire this whole match. Let me feel himself as well. Cuts lies down low, keeps getting these auto attacks off, meaning he's going to cut the ultimate of Dr. Mundo in half every single time he refreshes the passive Executioner's Calling. I believe Lies was at this health before that started.
That was clean from Let Me there in that 1v1 little trade, finding purchase on all of his spells connecting. Blade of the Ruined King looks like the rush as well from this Gnar. That is full offense, full split push build. Woo! Just wants to smack Mundo upside their head and ruin his life for the entirety of this game.
Yeah, Mundo no go where he pleased today.
Mundo will die if he pleases as well. But he's got stopwatch.
I'm going to try and lock him down. Does have stopwatch, and Cat's going to try and make his way up to the top lane. Let me get in the bush, you'll see him. Now going to run away, but XX is here as well, flashing over the wall. Knocks Let Me back, going to try and skip away. Rift Herald wants to join the fight, smacks one of them, but he will fall. Chocho even there to secure the kill, but it goes over to Dr. Mundo.
Yeah, Mundo has a meeting to make, so the briefcase connects with Let Me, and he is going to have to see some grey screens for quite a while. That Blade of the Ruined King now completed for Let Me doesn't really make the difference when TOP were able to collapse on him. Great moves from TOP there. And ultimately, you saw Let Me, he didn't see the jungler until very late into the play, but then at the same time, once he saw one member, he tried to run away. He saw a third, it's like, oh my lord, and tried to run back through an Alistar. That was the real end result there. No good place to go, so only good plays from TOP.
Yeah. Unfortunate for Let Me, if he was inside that tri-brush still, would have seen Cat rotating from a mile away, would have been able to rotate towards his own turret, stay safe. During that time, RNG were able to take down mid lane outer turret. TOP were able to pick up Rift Herald, and now seems like they'll be able to break top lane outer, so 1-to-1 in turrets, but it's still a 3,000 gold lead in favor of RNG.
And we are seeing positive things from TOP in general, you know, as a team when they're making plays, it feels like it's not the worst outcome by any means. But RNG are working harder, faster, and better than their opponents currently, and that is where a lot of the gold difference really starts to stretch. 5-to-1 in kills, 3-to-1 realistically if we take out level 1 also, which means that RNG across the board have just been outplaying their opponents. And Xiaohu, we mentioned this in Game 1's draft, but you give him the rise, you give him the opportunities to sit in a side lane. Xiaohu on a side lane is disgusting. A deadly man.
Ryze is probably one of the worst champions to push turrets with in League of Legends. Doesn't build AD, doesn't build AP early, so he's full mana.
But he's very good at killing you if you step up to take the turret away from him.
But he's broken 2 turrets now. Xiaohu did 90% of the work in the mid lane, then went down bottom lane, took down that turret nice and easy, so it's a 2-to-1 turret lead for RNG. 4,000 gold at that. Rift Herald still in the back pocket of XX. They look to try and pop it down somewhere for TOP. They're not rushing with it, unlike the last matchup.
I'd love to see this Herald in the middle lane, but you can tell that RNG are very cognizant of that. They are completely grouped up around this area. And TOP very hard set on making the play, but very hard pressed to make that play, are still committing themselves from the looks of it. I think a Talia wall could be a game changer here. Clear the minion wave, Talia wall them off. You'll get a full charge from that Herald if you would like. But they're going to bide their time just a little bit longer. They're going to wait.
They still got time to use that Rift Herald. It's about halfway through its cooldown.
I think that was a very good window to do that, though. He's going to summon
Hello?
the bottom lane, because innovation.
Let me hit the eye. Poke its eyes out.
It's targeting Let Me, and it's picking on the Nard. Okay. You know what?
What are you doing?
He is ranged now.
Ah, he teleported.
Shelly has changed the game.
Then he died, but Xiaohu's in some trouble in the mid lane. Ming's going to be able to lock down Cat. Drop ship gets them back to safety, and Lies can't get the teleport in time.
I've seen some things in my day, but Shelly is one of the most jank creations at times. XX takes the... Oh, okay. We didn't see anything.
What the hell is going on?
We're going to move on. We're just going to...
This is not a wildcard region.
We're just going to move on. This is where you jab at NA, because you always do.
No.
And I know you were thinking about it.
No.
You totally were.
Well, NA is a wildcard region, so it still stands.
There we go.
RNG are going to rotate towards the top side of the map, however, trying to send more people up here. TOP tried to make a play. They get Ryze's ultimate out of it. They do eventually get the flash out of Carter as well, trying to collapse onto XX, but his lands respite to stay alive.
Yeah, this Ryze skin seems to have the cleanest looking Q out of all of the spell animations. I'm a big fan of this one, actually, just from watching Xiaohu play it.
Is he a pirate?
Yeah, it's the... I don't know its name, it's the pirate one.
Doesn't carry scrolls on his back, just as a casual cannon.
Yeah, you're right, that is a cannon. He doesn't use the cannon. Oh wait, he does, he shoots, oh my god.
Wait, he shoots his Qs out of the cannon?
Yeah, he does.
Show me. Hello?
Yeah, how cool is that?
That's actually pretty sick.
This is a game changer, that skin's now broken.
That should be removed from the game. It provides too much of a competitive advantage. The Q must hurt, it comes out of a cannon now.
All things fired out of cannons have to hurt by default, so I think you're correct. It's going to do more than his hand throwing forwards.
I mean, have you seen those t-shirt cannons?
What?
The cannons that shoot t-shirts.
yeah.
Riot used to have one. It was a Cogmore, I think it was. A Cogmore that shot t-shirts.
Yeah, the cannon
into
was
the crowd.
Cogmore is what you're saying.
They hurt. Don't get smacked in the face by one of those.
Wasn't in my to-do list, but...
Like, if you throw a t-shirt at me, cool. I'm gonna, you know, laugh at you.
Make sure it's not the one that was on your body.
Thank God I'm not wearing a t-shirt then.
Just clarifying. As you can tell, we've hit a bit of a lull in this game.
Yeah, nothing's happening at the moment. We had Shelly become a ranged champion. We had TOP try for a fight where nothing happened as well.
A lot of it was waiting for some item spikes, really. And we have started to see those actually accrued by the relevant parties of both teams. For RNG, the one that stands out to me a little bit is actually the choice of Gargoyle's Stoneplate for Caster as his second item. Now, he doesn't have any health, so in terms of doubling his effective health, that is a very awkward item choice, unless, of course, there are more than 3 people near you, or 3 or more people, I should say, near you, in which case the health gain is doubled. Yeah. So that is when it'll be super cash money. But otherwise, it's not going to really do a lot.
Good item to tank both physical and magic damage. It used to be Guardian Angel, one of the items you go towards if you needed to tank both.
Yeah, but you know, really when you're playing Gragas, your W is a lot of the tools for damage reduction, so that's what's curious. And you can see on the bottom left of your screen right now, Caster has gone for Q before E, so he's not going for W, and I think this is a cool compensatory factor for that.
Well, trying to lock down Caster. He's over the wall and tries to separate the team. XX forced to use his Lance Spite early. There's the Gargoyle Stoneplay, keeping Caster nice and healthy, but not for long. RNG don't have the members to fight through this, but Cat does fall very low. Shadow Dash is going to go towards Lies. Let Me wants to join the fight, but still a mini Gnar.
Let Me still got the presence. Lies ulting as well. TOP definitely just trying to disengage, especially because Xiaohu's now found himself within ultimate range. And you'll take that pick. You'll definitely look for those. RNG don't even have their flash nor their ultimate on Caster anymore. With objectives up and available, you'd feel like TOP could press forwards, but still a risky thing to do against RNG. Really, they feel like they're in absolute control, and TOP are just left to pick up the scraps, and that looks like a single kill.
There were only a few people there for RNG, but still able to hold their ground against TOP. Almost repelled them very early into the skirmish. They lost Caster, however, and he was the man with 3 kills, so that's a bounty going TOP's way.
It definitely is. He's actually picked up all of those kills. That's something that might be a little bit tragic here for the side of RNG.
5 assists for Xiaohu.
They've still got a lot of farm, I will say. When you actually look at the CS differentials, Xiaohu's got 250 odd CS, 249 right now. But at 22 minutes, that is a significant amount, as that's a Hex Flash. Here he's coming. He's not coming.
He's over the wall, still getting locked down, but he jumps in for a fight himself. Xiaohu gets flicked back. Cat without his ultimate gets chunked out. Killed by RNG, and they find a pick for themselves.
I think the second that Cat started channeling his Hex Flash, he was collapsed upon. He knew there was no good place to go, and ultimately, I do think he played the best out of that bad situation, tries to find a return frag, but he can't actually get that one at all. RNG still find the easy pickup, and able to get themselves the kill.
It's been a very slow match, though, for RNG. Yes, it starts it strong, with very early skirmishes throughout the first 10 minutes, but since then, it's just been push back and forth, pick here and there, but never really a major objective being taken. TOP a little bit wary about Baron being taken by RNG as Talia throws out her ultimate just to spot out vision on the major objective. RNG nowhere close to the pit at the moment, using this time to recall, pick up items. Abyssal Mask already complete for Xiao, whose Seraph's Embrace just came online a couple of minutes ago. With Manamune, as well as a Triforce and the Executioner's calling on Abel. Things starting to look good for RNG. Blade of the Ruin King's going to come up next for this Ezreal. But topside Matt, let me even has his Black Cleaver. There's plenty of ways to deal with the armor stacking that will come out from TOP later.
Yeah, and a lot of damage is still being picked up by TOP with the rapid fire cannon done, with the Ludens, with the item spikes overall completed. I feel like this is a great window of opportunity for them to try and take on their opponents. And, you know, a lot of the game, when you look at League of Legends, as a spectator, for all of you at home as well, you look at the goal difference. And you'll be like, okay, RNG pretty comprehensively ahead here as far as leads go. But when you hit item spike timings, it's usually a lot better, whereas 3,000 gold of component items not going to be nearly as impactful. So ultimately, I'd say RNG, they're still in good stead given that those items are complete. But for the moment, as they are two major completed items apiece, I would say the opportunity presents itself for TOP to find any kind of semblance of a gold return back into their pockets.
Despite the lead that RNG have at the moment, you can see that it's still fairly close between the two teams. TOP is still happy to push up aggressively. They're not conceding objectives just yet. Pushing for vision, pushing for picks. In fact, trying to go for it again. Cat's going to Hex Flash over the wall. Korn was looking to try and lock him down with the chains, doesn't connect, and both teams go back to playing Farmville on Facebook.
And I admire the look-ins on the opportunities there from TOP. When you've got an Alistar with Flash on cooldown and the Hex Flash is available, it's actually a really good window of opportunity to utilize that lack of a major summoner spell to just poke forwards and press the attack in pick type of scenarios. So good stuff from TOP on the look-in, but not just successful yet.
Still 5,000 gold behind, as much as we say it's still fairly even. Gold leads don't lie. Now RNG are happy to take this one into the late game.
Neither do hips, Fish.
No, those hips don't lie. Except for
Gragas doesn't lie, ever.
No, he's got the best hips. He's a sexy man, Gragas.
Alright, it just leaps and bounds forwards. Hey, whatever you're into, you do you, man. I'll respect you. Except that you're leaving me. Don't respect that. Nah, dude, it's fine, it's fine. I'm not upset.
They might actually meet here for a fight. Being able to lock him down, rises to get the W, but Casa's going to try and knock him, but no!
Oh, no!
Casa, where are you going? Chase him down! You have to do this one for Xiaohu!
Korn just played them like fools right there.
Who played? I think Xiaohu played himself!
Oh no!
He just broke his own ankles!
He outplayed himself as Korn outplayed them at the same time. That was really good reactions from Korn. I actually think that that was super clean from the LeBlanc, not getting hit, also dodging the flash body slam from Casa. I think he's 0 for 2 this game so far, Casa. With these flash body slams outside of the early start of the game, and at the same time Rise said, I will see you later, and took his own ultimate to where he thought the LeBlanc would go, which was anything but true.
Apparently Casa thinks that Gragas' hips do lie. Can't quite get the hitbox down the 2 times he's tried to go for that body slam flash.
Needs a belt. That little bit of extra space was the distance that he had to cover. I
swear this is the team that won MSI, Rusty. Shadow Dash going to come through from Ming here. Cat's actually trying to punt him back towards the blue side of the map. Cat taking quite a bit of damage, but has the ultimate to keep him safe. Lies wants to join the fight, but TOP don't have their support's ultimate anymore. Difficult for them to return against RNG.
Hey, I'll be real with you. This is definitely the team that went to MSI, definitely the team that won it, minus their star in Uzi. And this particular iteration of RNG is throwing punches constantly. And if you're going to throw punches constantly, there's a chance they miss. That's just the way that it works. Playing much more aggressively around their mid laner, around their jungler, enabling them to be the major carries. And when you're playing around your mid laner and you're against a mid laner, usually that champion is either very mobile or full of crowd control. In this case, it was Korn. Very hard to catch a LeBlanc in general, as Xiaohu sees you.
Waits, now runs around the backside of the trees. Let Me throws Lies into the wall. Has it execution calling to try and mitigate the ultimate. Stopwatch going to keep Lies alive for a little bit longer as the rest of TOP group up. Meanwhile, Cat's being caught out and RNG get the first pick of this fight. XX forced to use the ultimate. Lies stands on top of it. Will get a nice heal, but so does Xiao, a big shield as well. Oh, Casa can't quite find the body slam, but Torn is good. Able falls. Korn with the damage. RNG now very low, forced to retreat. This is a good fight for TOP. They repel RNG, and big damage coming out from Korn. Chocho not done yet, tries to build a wall, separates the team, but Ming's able to shadow dash back to safety. Good response from Topsports.
And RNG try to take their shot at killing a Mundo with Stopwatch, who is level 16 with his ultimate available, and that was just a massive dream that they believed in. Now TOP, they are walking straight over to the Baron buff. There's a lot of time spent in transit, but there is 20 seconds on Casa. Now, Abel in 15 has got teleport, so this is still going to be a potential risk for them to take. They will get very low from this. Kindred does not have the Lamb's Respite, but I think they should be fine in taking this one down.
Korn teleported for this fight. They've been taking up Baron for some time. Ming looking for a chance to jump in. Xiaohu's right behind him. There's the teleport coming up from Abel. Casa just respawned but can't get to the pit, and TOP pick up Baron buff, securing it away from RNG. RNG trying to keep them here for now. Remember, XX doesn't have the ultimate, so if they get enough damage on the Kindred, they can kill them. Trying to keep them here still.
Xiao, that's way too big of a flank. Yeah, they're going to have to disengage RNG. They'll back away. Baron secured by TOP, and suddenly what was 5,000 shrinks down to 3 with a lot more potential to make even more money off the turrets that Baron should provide. And this game blown wide open.
And I really like that we talked about Abel and Uzi, the difference, because watch this last fight. Abel is going to get flicked into the wall by Talia in a position that can't quite be in when you want to try and win these back-to-front fights.
Chocho's just hitting those flicks no matter what as well. But the biggest problem here is that Xiaohu and Let Me are trying to kill Lies, and Lies still has more health than both of them at the end of this. When you really put that into perspective, Let Me's ultimate used, Rise, no Ignite available anymore. The flicks connect straight afterwards. I mean, Chocho's having a field day with these people that are willingly running towards him.
He arcade shifted onto it!
Yes, he did. And then Korn, I'm just ignoring it, honestly.
He's an Inter!
Ooh, Inter's strong.
Arcane shifted down bot lane.
The unseen Int is, of course, the deadliest. He was not aware that he was going to do what he did.
RNG still have the lead. Still 3,000 gold up, but now being pushed back by the Baron buff of TOP. Strong start for RNG, but TOP being able to equalize this game slightly.
And like we saw from the JD game with a similar composition to the current TOP roster, when a Mundo and an Alistar are in a team that potentially has the lead, or at least the advantage, RNG's engage will become very difficult to find. Of course, Alistar very ultimate reliant. Lies has a Warmogs though. He really is the beefiest tank.
It's no real tank for the side of RNG though. Ming is a support, so doesn't have the best of items. Let Me has gone almost full damage. In fact, he is a full damage now. Casa went for the AP item first, so doesn't quite have the resistance as he would want. He has gone mega, but a good wall separates these teams. Just chip damage onto these turrets, however.
So no matter what, even if it's just chipping, they're very rarely taking them down. But what TOP are doing correctly is they're controlling the vision between mid lane and bot lane. They've got the wards in place, which means they control 2 lanes at once.
Ooh, they've got Lies, however, trying to lock him down. Not enough crowd control to keep Dr. Mundo there in time for the damage to be dealt.
The Ignite used by Ming in this case to try and take him down, but getting rid of the ultimate from Amundo is still a win. However, the cooldown on that is fairly low at level 16, which personally upsets me given that he has CDR in his build.
Can we go back to a bit of a resident sleeper, as you can expect next few minutes. Two teams will go back to clearing out the jungle, clearing out waves, putting wards down.
That was great from RNG when you really think about it as a whole. They had top lane going as a slow push that Let Me, I believe, was able to set up a couple of minutes prior. And it confined TOP to only 2 lanes. And within those 2 lanes, they pretty much just got 1 turret. They got some damage onto the second. But at the end of the day, that was a really nice hold from RNG. And now they put themselves into the least likely of places on Summoner's Rift, as TOP are just going to do the obvious move and not go towards the Gnar. Exactly, Chel.
They'll use this time to go back to base, get some items for themselves as well. And keeping track of Abel, he's got 5 items picked up now for his final one. Could be a QSS or a Hex Drinker.
There's also a Flame Horizon in the middle lane now for Xiaohu. Start calling it the Xiaohu Horizon for
Big
mid lanes.
Tiger. Big Tiger against Small Cat.
Big Tiger. Absolutely true. And he's got some big items as well coming across. In the makings anyway.
Yep.
It's most likely going to be a death cap, you would expect. For Xiaohu now. Maybe Spellbinders actually went that in the last game, and that was when he one-hit the opposing carry.
Oh boy.
Proc Spellbinders and just smacked him. As a machine gun mid laner, it's entirely possible that that'll be where he goes again.
XX going for the Storm Razor. Picked up a 3rd. Rapid Fire Cannon 2nd.
So as a fundamental League of Legends point, remember, because we're so used to having it, that these players and teams do not have the gold values above the top of their screen.
Yes.
They don't necessarily know, RNG, that they are 3,000 gold ahead. And this game feels a lot worse than being 3,000 gold ahead. When you actually look at the map, the momentum belongs completely to TOP. It feels even. It feels like RNG, after losing that Baron, have put themselves into a defensive position. They've turtled up, and they're looking for what is now fleeting chances to maybe get an engage off.
They're trying to use this split push at the moment. It is a full damage Gnar. No semblance of going towards any sort of tank item anytime soon. Even a dagger picked up.
They have to deal with him though.
In his 6th spot.
Teleport.
That's a teleport to try and deal with him. Korn's going towards top side of the map.
That Korn currently might be able to deal with him. I don't think he'll be able to kill the Gnar, but he does have a decent amount of wave clear. So they'll be okay this time around, TOP, but still at the end of the day, RNG have just matched the trade as they are going all in here.
Dropship, lies.
Oh, lies again.
In a difficult situation, locked down. Gonna get his ultimate cut in half. Tries to use his Gargoyle Stormplate, but Businessman Mundo got places to be, and they're still trying to lock him down.
Please.
Businessman Mundo don't care. He's got deals to make right now, Rusty.
Can we please stop hitting the Mundo? That's like the 4th time in a row RNG have engaged on the single member of TOP, and it's just a Mundo who presses R and walks it out.
Too busy for your nonsense.
Now, I don't think they were strictly aiming for Mundo that time around, but they certainly committed themselves after they found him. That was the flash taunt after by Ming is the big mistake in my eyes. At the end of the day, I still value the idea, and I think wasting a Mundo's ultimate is big if you're going to fight straight after. But they had to disengage and recall, as that was just a look-in of a potential pick.
His ultimate will come back in time for these 2 major objectives, so they can't capitalize on it.
TOP are huge right now. That's actually a Storm Razor done for XX. Nice play.
Ming taking some damage. XX going forward, looking for the kill. Korn! From downtown, gets the kill. Ming's deleted, and that's when both major objectives come online.
Yeah, it's 8 seconds till Elder, 20 seconds until the Baron. A bit of an off day here, it feels like, for Ming, but how quickly TOP are able to capitalize on that. It looks like they're going to consciously try and make a trade.
Hard, though.
I think Let Me may prioritize the top wave at the same time, but we'll have to see how long it takes to get this Elder. I don't know if RNG can do this in time.
Elder dies too quickly. It's not as strong as Baron. True Shot Barrage looking for a cheeky steal doesn't work. Elder Dragon now for TOP. Yes, they only have 1 elemental, but they're looking for a fight. Cat's going to jump in here. Baron does go to RNG. Ming's going to come up in 6 seconds if he wants to try and stand United into a fight. But they do successfully trade.
They all just need to try and survive the onslaught that will now come out from TOP in their respective lanes. And when you look at it, I still think RNG in a very good position from this trade. Bottom lane is pushing for them. You can see the minions there now. Let Me has set up top wave. It's bouncing back, but that's going to take longer than the Elder Dragon will be alive. And Baron does outlast the Elder. All RNG need to do is hold this mid wave and outlast the Elder Dragon duration. But if you're TOP, you know that. You know all of this information, and your game plan is just instantly try and find a kill. Pick a bush, place a control ward, sweep the area, and hope that RNG make their way towards you.
Unlucky, Abel. Next time. Well, they set up for the first death push, but it doesn't work out for TOP. They head back to base, pick up a few items here and there. Now we're in the dead even match. Yes, a few thousand gold separates these two teams, but it's going to come down to a team fight.
Things are looking a little bit more promising this time around for RNG. Of course, they are 1-0 up in this series, looking for the 2-0 victory. Trying to push themselves to top 2 in the standings if possible. But TOP, we have seen a lot of promise coming from this roster now. Their spring split was rough, but their summer split has started to steadily improve. And it's not just a slow improvement, it has been at a very solid pacing for themselves. A lot of the strength coming from their top and jungler, how things have changed on that side of the map. And this game is a very clear indicator of that. Lies on his Mundo has been doing everything required of him and more. XX has shown up to the plate and he's going to try and be a major carry in this one.
I was going to ask you to put bets on what Let Me would complete that recurve bow into, but it is a Quinsu's Rage Blade.
Oh no, that was an easy one.
I mean, Hurricane wins that, who knows? He's already gone for the full damage build. Quinsu's is locked in.
I'm just going to do something for you, so you can just
You're going to go to pro builds now and show me what he builds all the time?
No, it's not a pro builds.
Are you going to show me what Hurricane now builds out of No More Recurve Bow?
Hey? Me?
I can see your laptop.
I would never.
Googling Runan's Hurricane for me. Thank you very much.
Here you go. Zeal and 2 daggers.
Aww.
But yes, he was going to go towards the Quincy. He's committing himself to the split push build regardless. I think Hurricane's actually a decent choice if you want to stay in Mega now more than anything else, because it stacks you up your hyperprocs very quickly, as well as hitting 3 different targets means your rage bar just very quickly goes up. But when you're playing a split push build as Nah, I would prefer the Guinzu's Rage Blade, just because you still stack up quick, but not nearly as fast as Hurricane, and you have more on-hit damage with the Blade of the Ruined King done. So the single target, a lot higher from the mini Nah form in this case, and you want to stay mini Nah for longer when you are trying to split push. That's your kill threat on Mundo. Mega Nah is not.
Very squishy. No, though, at the moment. If RNG group up for a team fight, Let Me could go pop.
Yeah, I think he actually might want to get rid of that Executioner's Calling for something like a Guardian Angel, so that he has a lot of team fight relevance still potentially there.
You've got one now on Abel. Guardian Angel definitely would help. Sarai's going to join this fight. Shows
RNG,
up.
Yeah, they're using the Baron buff. They're getting the turrets, and it's about to expire, but RNG have completely reset the momentum in this game. And when you look at that objective trade, TOP, they made the aggressive decision. They said, we will go for Elder, and we will sprint over to Baron. There's enough of a window here where Ming is dead to try and take the fights. But because that doesn't pan out and RNG get the Baron, RNG back in the driver's seat.
For now. It's been a very weird match, though. Both teams are playing it well. They're not making as many risks as we'd expect in the LPL. There just hasn't been a whole lot of fights or action besides someone dying, moving towards an objective. Gold lead's being pushed back and forth. RNG still hold on to a 5,000 gold lead, but 40 minutes in doesn't mean anything right now.
No, 5 to 6 in turrets, so there's still map control pretty much matched by both of these teams. And you mentioned the gold not meaning a great deal. It really depends on the team compositions, and you just look down the board of the items completed. There's still one major item left for the Kindred and the LeBlanc. That is the big things that we're looking at now. And of course, that stopwatch for Talia can become Azonia's. So we also await the completion of that. It's usually around, let's say, 90,000, 80 to 90,000, where gold leads rather are pretty inconsequential to the game.
I mean, RNG are 2 items away from it.
That's a Gathering Storm.
Hello, Abel. He's got 6 items now. Just Xiaohu looking to complete his Laundry's Torment. And I think it was Let Me who was on his final component. Yes, Let Me on the final component. Only Casa left in this final.
And I would like to hope that Let Me also has himself a Gathering Storm, and that Xiaohu also potentially does. And,
oh, please.
You know, we didn't mention this, just as a quick hit on that as well. To Comet Xiaohu, it's not going to be a phase rush this time around. So just dealing a bit more damage in his trades, and It's nice to have the W trade at level 1 into LeBlanc, which is the big reason for them. So outside of laning phase, you kind of wish you had phase rush.
We saw that at the level 1 fight, right? He
Yeah.
snared someone, Comet goes in, hits 3 people, and you're like, whoa, it's a good start.
That was more than we thought. TOP currently on a big flank.
Here they go.
Big flank.
Cat's jumping in, Abel gets over in time. Xiaohu's now in some trouble. Will lock down Lies, but that's a flash being burnt by TOP. No Gnar there, so RNG don't decide to go for the fight.
And there's those young mechanics out of Abel. He just hits the E, does not even flash, so finger on the trigger, ready to go. The second he saw that Alistar. So it's actually just the summoner gained by RNG, and Xiaohu lives because Alistar has no follow-up combo to use onto him. Still kind of wishing that he had himself the phase rushes. It's a gathering storm. We're just going to go down the list of RNG and feel real good about ourselves as they have 3 sorceries, 2 sorcery trees rather there.
I'm just going to, you know, try and take us to 3 hours of League of Legends.
Hell yeah. That's absolutely not where I ever want to be. But if we
not.
go there, I'm excited to see what it looks like.
I need to pee, so they better not.
Because I'm pretty sure the minions would find a way to win at that point. It is not Dota.
They're going to try. RNG now going to continue pushing without any of these major objectives. Baron's up in 10 seconds. Elder Dragon's coming up in a minute. That's the second Elder Dragon for TOP if they can secure it, but RNG have the map pressure at the moment.
And you can see there's still vision for TOP, but it's a bit small as here comes the Rise. The big play is on. It's still going to be spotted, but they do it so quickly. It's just theirs. And that should lead them into control of the map, lead them into the potential Elder Dragon. RNG. That's Rise, and that's the Rise power play.
Dropped like it's hot on top of Baron buff. Everyone goes back to base, picks up the bits and pieces that remain of the item build, as well as a couple of elixirs here and there.
Now, the counterplay to this from TOP is that you immediately go to the Elder Dragon. If you're RNG, you want a side lane control. You want Let Me to win the game right now, but this is Elder Dragon number 2, and there is a very real... Okay, that just got spotted. There is a very real chance that RNG feel the need to forcibly face check the area, and if they do, that's when TOP pounds.
XX being a bit aggressive in this mid lane. Dr. Mundo, as well as Gnar, are fighting on the top side of the map. Elder Dragon has spawned. RNG get control and access to the mid lane. Bottom lane is pushing in RNG's favor. Gnar has access to the top lane turret. Lies can't go toe-to-toe against the full damage Gnar that Let Me is using right now. You can see the rage play, but Gnar! So close! Lies almost take it down. RNG get access to Elder Dragon. They are now playing this late game like they were meant to. Reading out of a textbook almost.
Yeah, TP have lost their window, and suddenly Cat may be caught here as well. Fights on.
Forced to use the ultimate. XX uses his ultimate very early. Lands for Spidey, gets some damage. Xiaohu's gone! They kill Rise! Meanwhile, Nara's inside the base, dealing good damage for RNG. Still looking for the fight themselves. Abel is very healthy. Has Ming as well as Castle leading the pack. XX no ultimate, gets popped. GA now being burnt. LeBlanc
still hitting.
is trying to go back to base. Teleport into this fight coming out from Nara as well. Abel left untouched the entire fight, and Stand United is going to be able to keep Castle as well as being alive. RNG win the small skirmish and break TOP's base.
And even though Xiaohu dies for RNG, Abel is absolutely playing this late game very well on the Ezreal, constantly dealing damage, just machine gunning. And if Xiaohu's alive, people die. But because that's only one gone from RNG, but a very important member, they choose to take the teamfight victory. They'll take the single inhibitor from that as well. And then they'll just disengage. They've got the Baron buff. They've got super minions pushing in the top wave. They've got the wave controlled in bottom. RNG played that excellently, and TOP, I think they just lost their one window.
They're going for Elder Dragon now. If Korn can steal this, it's second Elder for TOP.
I don't think Letme's in range to hit that. Really upsetting as a mini Gnar, but at the end of the day, maybe he doesn't want to hit it because he's also close to becoming Mega. Baron secured by RNG. Elder Dragon now conversely secured by them afterwards. They have got control of the map now in its entirety, and TOP left on the back foot.
Here's that small skirmish again. XX gets forced to use his ultimate very early, so was Cat.
Yeah, Cat turns around on Xiaohu, and Korn just smacks him as well with a significant amount of burst. But from that point, Abel, he sees his opportunity to press forwards. That was the double distort, of course, used in the end there by Korn. Times the little Mystic shot there perfectly on the Zonias, and the fight that follows up here, Casa was smashing them constantly with a barrage of crowd control. We're able to get that. Flick. Oh, almost.
It's not going to arcane shift into it this time round. full item builds for everyone on the side of RNG, except for Casa, still looking to upgrade his Aegis. Being as well with a couple of spots left in his build. Side of TOP, it's going to be Korn looking to complete his final item. XX still one item away.
Yeah, Baron's also about to subside here for RNG, so their opportunity to use it completely removed.
Got Elder though.
But the Elder is there. Now the difficulty here for RNG is that they can't really split push anymore to siege mid and bottom. The distance between those lanes is far too short because they're about to see LeBlanc. And she's trying to avoid the vision as long as she possibly can. But she has to clear the wave sooner or later. The second she appears, RNG, that's their opportunity to pounce.
Ryze is still in the mid lane though, looking to split push for RNG. Letme gets chunked out slightly. Has plenty of lifesteal though.
Yeah, lifesteal's going to charge the Naba, so I actually think that was a super impactful trade there. Letme doesn't have teleport either. He's gone over to the Krugs to get some health back, but it also means that he will be coming back in Mega. Now window of opportunity for RNG presents itself. I think they've just lost it.
Just looks so difficult for RNG to siege at the moment. Even tanking up the turret, Lies tries to step forward, takes quite a bit of poke damage from Abel. It's a nice Detour's view of Summoner's Rift, as well as TOP's base.
Lies is having a very rough day on this Mundo once we hit him. Oh, okay, there goes XX's ultimate. Xiao, who just says g'day and obliterates him.
Chol builds a wall to keep RNG locked in here, but they're pretty happy with the current situation. Still chipping away at multiple members of TOP.
Siege is potentially on here for RNG.
Elder Dragon's going to run out shortly, so RNG don't have that much time, but they break the baits. Cat goes for the fight to start things. Flash away,
Lies
coming out for one member. Lies very low, trying to jump back in. Casa trying to back away. RNG are losing their front line. Abel's forced to disengage, and Xiaohu's now occupying the back lines. Lies wants to chase towards this Rise, forced to flash over the base gates. But they break both the mid lane as well as the bottom lane inhibitor turret. No major fight taking place yet.
They just need to be cautious here, RNG. Play around the super minions. If they're able to do that, break 3 inhibitors, that's pretty much the game decided from them. And TOP, just desperation is all that's left.
That just doesn't feel like a 6-item Dr. Mundo at the moment. Every time Midina steps up, Lies loses about half of his hit points. Now, with every single inhibitor broken, RNG are just waiting for super minions to crash in, and this is probably going to be the slowest bleed out I've ever seen.
Lies has 5,000 HP, and he pressed a Gargo of Stoneplate to double his health to 10,000, and he still only stayed at half health. He was being constantly smashed. And with double Blade of the Ruin King users from RNG, they're feeling really confident against the Mundo if they're all hitting him at the same time. And RNG, they don't need to play the team fights, they're afraid of their opponent's team fights, and that's entirely justified. You're staring down an Alistar with a potential flick from the Talia and a Kindred to keep themselves alive. They choose to play the cautious route. They choose to play the big brain game instead of forcing their way into the base. And RNG now, 50 minutes into this game.
Oh boy.
Somehow we've gone to 50 minutes.
Item builds are being swapped around as well, Rusty. I mean, Merc Thread's now being picked up by Letme, identifies he doesn't need the Berserker Greaves anymore. Yeah. Infinity Edge complete for XX, still 1 item away from completing his entire build.
Unfortunately for Abel, as much as he may want to get some Merc Treads of his own, he needs that maximum CDR completed, and I think those Boots of Lucidity are the maximum there. There's no CDR elixirs anymore.
51 minutes into the match. It's still very even between the two teams. RNG are setting up for this.
Stacking against an Alistar. It's always a risk.
Disperse though. Wards get placed down by TOP.
Now you just got to play slow. RNG, they don't have double supers because top inhib is alive, and the Baron is the objective, which means that Gnar can't go there. But TOP, this is their power play.
RNG going towards the win?
RNG are going to rise ult in.
They're going for the win right now. Teleports are coming in from the side of TOP. In fact, everybody's trying to get back to base.
But now you go straight to the Baron if you're RNG. You bring the Mundo, you bring the LeBlanc, you get map control. This cast is on.
They're trying to find Cat. Chol doesn't get knocked back. Cat used the ultimate very early. In fact, a little bit too early. XX knows that there's a ward there, but they collapse on towards Chol. That's going to be the first casualty here. RNG get the first pick. Xiaohu taking some damage, but XX throws out the ultimate way too early. TOP getting collapsed upon. Big taunt coming out from me. Abel over the wall on top of Kindred. That's another kill. Lies, he might be taking, but just doesn't have the damage. They have done it. They pulled TOP apart, split them across the map, kill everybody, and now they're moving towards the Nexus.
And it's brain games from Royal Never Give Up. They get the easy victory at 51 minutes, and they play TOP for the Fools.
Tactical victory, Summoners. They pick up the win, 2-0 against TOP.
The Baron was the win condition for TOP Sports, and they saw their moment. They said, this is when we hit the objective. RNG, they use once again the Rise ultimate to change the pace of this game. And this is not the first game that we've seen it from Xiaohu, and it's not the first game that we have seen this from RNG, but people still give him this champion. And when he gets the champion, it doesn't matter if he's dealing the damage or hard carrying or not, he is so cerebral with his use of the ultimates, and RNG, working around that fact, they achieve victory.
Sometimes their team fights look a little bit sloppy without Uzi. Sometimes they make weird calls. But in this match, the actual tactics coming out from RNG were quite sound. They have been sloppy during some of the skirmishes and a few of the fights. Defended well against TOP, traded objectives when they were behind very well. Stayed in the match, never allowed the goal lead to creep up on them, and executed beautifully when it came to trying to break the base.
And Abel finds himself with a 2-0 victory as well.
Yes.
RNG's 80 carry starting, and this one's a tie, is still going to be on the bench currently for them. When you really look at this game as a result, RNG, it wasn't an individual performer this time around. Last time we saw it, there was a massive performance from Xiaohu, just hard carried against Team WE on his Rise. This time the team just steps up to the plate and does very well overall. They play the split push game. They play the avoid your opponent team game. Let me full carry Nah build. Eventually he's going to find that Mundo in a bad situation where the map doesn't favor him. That was when an inhibitor broke. That was when the game blew wide open. But realistically, it was just clutch decisions from them. TOP went for the Elder Dragon, tried to go for the Baron, and that was it. They just miscalculated by a couple of seconds.
Long, drawn-out game. Yes, RNG had the gold lead for the entire match, but it did drop down to 3,000 gold around the 40-minute mark, where gold eventually didn't matter as much. There's only really XX and Korn were missing the final item in their build, but then it was just the strategy, the tactics from RNG, pulling them apart, winning the late game quite single-handedly.
Yeah, a little bit too close for comfort maybe for RNG through that second game as get out of here. But more importantly for RNG, they found it together. They got to the late game. They're able to play the late game without Uzi. And the team fight, that last one, was actually still pretty good.
It was very good, splitting apart TOP, and with that they pick up a 2-0 victory. But to finish off the day, let's send it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you, guys. And RNG, they prove that even when the going gets tough against teams like TOP, they can still close out the match. That being said, it wasn't exactly easy walking down to end the game for RNG. They had a few stumbling blocks, some of which might have been self-inflicted, looking at Abel's positioning on that Ezreal in that last team fight. And then the respect that they had to show to even a team like TOP just shows why we consider RNG one of the best in the league, one of the best in the world right now, because they don't take chances unless they absolutely know they've got it locked down.
Yeah, this game turned out a lot closer than anyone imagined. Remember, the start of the game was actually disastrous for TOP. They were caught out in their own 4-man invade. Let Me was there far before Lies, and they actually pick up 2 early kills straight off the bat with the Rise, getting those assists and the kills going over to the jungler, and you're like, okay, this is going to be a quick 2-0.
Yeah.
But I really have to commend the tenacity coming out from TOP. I think they stretched out the early to mid-game very, very well. So if we look at the ban picks, what RNG was trying to do was they were trying to play a 1-3-1 composition. They have the split pusher in Gnar. They have the split pusher in the Rise as well. And they have a mid 3-man that's very hard to catch. You're never going to catch Ezreal, Gragas. That's not how you're going to do it.
Unless you're a LeBlanc and you happen to get an assassination. That said, Korn didn't really get a lot of those opportunities to get in because he had the Gragas on top of him, because there was the Shen with the Shadow Dash looking to keep that Ezreal safe, plus, of course, the Arcane Shift.
Yeah, and the big thing for me is the way that they assigned their lanes for TOP. They actually sent LeBlanc to the bot lane, and they drew the Rise without the teleport to the bot lane as well. And what this allowed them to do is actually find picks then in the top side with their teleport on the LeBlanc. And you could see that happen actually twice in that match, where they were able to stretch out the mid lane of the game, and suddenly it looked really bad for RNG because they couldn't take the team fights. Mundo was unkillable, and here's my and here's where it kind of went wrong for me, is that I feel like the trade for Baron versus Elder was not a right decision on TOP's part. Because what the Baron allows you to do is actually drag the game out for 4 extra minutes, and they couldn't push with Elder at all. They were stuck inside their own base due to the side lane pressure, and the Elder ran out much earlier before the Baron. They lost 3 towers in that push coming out from RNG as well, and they dragged the games a lot longer.
And that's where we saw the fight just after that, at 45 minutes, when that second Elder was starting to spawn, and things were looking a little bit dicey as TOP, they find themselves getting caught at their own red buff, scrambling to defend after they have already given up the Baron buff.
Yeah, the key thing here is that the members have to scramble in. Let Me is not in this fight. He actually took Lies a long time. He just dragged him right there. And you can see RNG just picking the right moments to go on the engage. They split up TOP. They get Kindred low early on into the fight. And even with Rise down, they're still able to clean up because nobody is able to touch onto Abel. No pun intended. Yeah. And the key thing here is that in the early and mid game, we could see that the Mundo could tank out through all the damage. But in the late game, the tables flipped just because of Gathering Storm.
Yeah.
We saw 2 Gathering Storms on Gnar and Ezreal, and by the time it hit the 50-minute mark, each of them were getting 72 extra AD. So for a combined 144 AD from each of them, and that's when you saw Lies' advantage just evaporate. He no longer could go into the front line, and RNG could creep in with the teamfight victory.
And even the way that RNG played around that, saying, hey, if we are forced to take a team fight, why not just remove the Mundo completely? Have Let Me dual Lies at that inhibitor in the top lane while we take a fight around the Elder Dragon, playing TOP's desperation to get their second Elder for the massive duration on the buff, against them effectively, and forcing their own choices for TOP instead of allowing them to make the choices themselves.
It was such a hard team fight to win for TOP side once they removed the Mundo out from the calculations, just like you said, because it's a Gragas versus Kindred matchup. If you take the burst damage, you use the ult early within the explosive cask is up.
Cask just knocks them out.
Yeah, you're instantly dead. The team fight is absolutely over for you. So it was really smart play from RNG to recognize how they could strong arm that team fight in that particular scenario, and then deny the Elder Drake for the TOP.
Of course, we do still have that last team fight as well to further indicate how exceptional RNG played by maneuvering and pulling TOP around the map so that they could free it up. This is where we look at Xiaohu on that Rise, able to use the dropship multiple times to get behind TOP, force the Mundo to teleport back in, and then RNG just collapse on, again, the scattered and desperate members of TOP.
Yeah, TOP, they already have some people back to base, and just look at that combination between Let Me and Ming. A flash into a taunt straight up kills one of the damage dealers from TOP, and from this point on, it's kind of a mop-up crew from RNG. There's not much that Lies can do on his own. He doesn't really have any damage whatsoever, and the shields coming out from Xiaohu's rotations just keeping him alive throughout the entire thing. So I felt like TOP, they had a very good game, but you can tell that they're not comfortable with mid to late game decision making. And this is one of the things when you're a team growing up,
new team,
and you're playing around jungle superiority early on, you tend to close the games out before 30 minutes, and then you're looking at a 40-minute game. You just don't know what to do. RNG purely beat TOP here with experience.
Yeah, and that experience absolutely paid off for the team, even with Abel on the roster, as they were able to show this remaining 4 members' decision-making to lead RNG to victory. Again, TOP, this is a team that has been on the rise lately. They've won their 4th series, more than they've won throughout their entire spring split. So we'll definitely keep our eyes peeled on their performance and see if they continue to grow, because again, we're calling them the feasible 5. This is a team of people that have pulled themselves together, and now they're finally starting to take wins. But when you go up against someone like Xiaohu, who's just able to maneuver around the map on that rise time and again, there's really nothing you can do unless you have a Rise of your own to try to match that.
Xiaohu with the double MVP this game, and he played so cocky. He actually brought the Ignite to the fight. Typically, you see this matchup when there's a LeBlanc there. It's either the teleport, if you get killed, you can rebound, or it's the cleanse. But he said, no, I have full control of this matchup. I'm going to take the Ignite. If it's a 1-3-1 late game, I can even go up against the Mundo. So he was very confident that he could control his lane throughout the entire game, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, control the lane, control the game. Easy strategy for RNG. I mean, it was the same thing that we saw in Game 1 with that Lissandra to try and deny the pick attempts from TOP. So we're still seeing some good stuff out of RNG. Let's bring up the standings and see how it shakes out at the end of Week 6. With RNG's victory, they find themselves at 9-3, just barely ahead of JD. IG still taking that only single defeat in the entirety of the LPL. But now now we've got to turn our attention towards the West Conference, where things are getting a little bit more exciting in that battle for second place.
Just look at how many teams are stuck at 4 and 7 right now. 3 teams vying for the last spot of the Western Conference, and we've never seen this much competition actually happen on this side of the league. It was pretty cut and dry the last time around. People thought it was, it's WE. Some people made a run, but in the end, WE still triumphed. They're now sitting at the absolute bottom.
Yeah.
You look at the top of the Eastern Conference, it's RNG and IG still going strong. RNG, you know, picking up to 500 after Rift Rivals. Congratulations. Without Uzi, it's been a bit rocky, but they're still hanging on there.
Still, great performance out of the team. And again, we're going to be keeping our eye on these teams and see how the standings continue to shake out, because again, the LPL doesn't stop there. Heck, we never stop until it's off-season time. Tomorrow, we've got some more matches coming at you. It's BLG versus FPX, and then just after that, Vici Games versus Rogue Warriors, as Billy Gaming will try to upset FPX and try to get themselves a little bit closer to their own battle for 4th place.
Oh, is it really an upset? Is it really that bad for BLG? True, they dropped to OMG 2-0, and it's not looking that good, but FPX themselves haven't been looking that hot today either, going up against JD Gaming. So, you know, it's going to be the matchup between Cool and Mole, and who really comes up to shape faster, because both of these guys have been struggling to find their footing.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some great stuff out of BLG with their victory just a few days ago. Will it be able to carry over? I don't know. We're going to find out tomorrow. But that's going to do it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in on behalf of myself and the whole production crew, and, of course, Clement and the co-casters. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.